Hi, Ray here. I hope you enjoyed my short film, Life is a Movie. If you missed it, I'll link it at the end of this video, and please give it a thumbs up, maybe a share. In this sort of appendix, I thought I'd discuss some of the technical details that went into its production. First, cameras. It was mostly shot with Nikon cameras, the Z6III, it's almost the ZR, right? Z8, Zf, and Z50II. With the exception of an old GoPro Hero8, I took advantage of auto ISO there and its flat profile. The rest was shot in N-Log, then developed in Apple Final Cut Pro with technical and creative LUTs from Gamut. Gamut makes some really excellent LUTs for Nikon and many other cameras for that matter. Now, I'm not an expert in this area, so I just know what I like when I see the result of adding these lookup tables to my footage. Gamut recently improved their technical LUTs, making options specifically for individual cameras, Z9, Z8, Z6III and ZR. These are a superb starting point for conversion to REC 709. Now, REC 709, put simply, is the standardized color space for high-definition TV monitors. So, in theory, an image looks the same across screens, assuming those screens are calibrated, which few are. My monitors are regularly calibrated, and I try to follow that standard, albeit with my limited color grading skills. That's why I'm not ashamed to say I take advantage of LUTs created by people with more skills than me, and the folks at Gamut fit the bill. I'll put a list of LUTs used in a sidebar. Now, I don't mean to infer that I just slap a LUT on and call it a day. I do treat footage with Final Cut's limited tools, and those LUTs are: I'll add noise reduction where needed, using neat video. I also make use of Motion VFX's film look. Oh, and when it comes to monitors, I'm a big fan these days of 7-inch monitors when I can afford the extra screen real estate. And the bright, newer F700 fits that bill. So look for a review of that monitor coming soon. Now, some notes on grip equipment. For the car rig, maybe the most important part of the grip tools are suction cups. From the original that I got with this is it, with my GoPro 2 Motor Sports Kit, to these excellent SmallRig products. I found all these to be useful, indispensable really, just in case I want to use all my cameras at once. A dual cup option that works similar to the original GoPro, depending on adapter whether you use for an action cam or use the 1/4-inch attachment. A pump action unit with a sturdier magic arm system, again adaptable for action cam or a full-size camera, or in this case a monitor. And the latest innovation, these two here, these electronic units, pretty nice. They have an internal 3.7 volt 2000 mAh battery offering up to 30 hours of continuous runtime, charged via USB in no time flat. The 5-inch electric suction cup support for vehicles is available with or without the magic arm. It features, again, built-in electric motor, and here's the really cool feature: it has real-time pressure monitoring, so if it senses pressure dropping, it sucks. On this model, there's anti-twist quarter-20 threaded holes, 3/8-16 Arri rotating holes, and a NATO rail that's used here for the magic arm. The 5507 shock absorber with electronic suction cup is a comprehensive kit with the suspension arm and counterweight, and it includes a clamp for use with the DJI Pocket 304 and a bracket with a 1/4" screw for other cameras that have a threaded hole, as here with a GoPro tripod adapter. And it all comes in a semi-hard shell carrying case. Really, really nicely done. I also have the Delkin Devices Fat Gecko triple cup unit that secured the A-cam to the hood of the car. But these electronic units are really the bee's knees. One long press of the on button creates the vacuum seal, and it's very secure. A double press releases the seal. Single press to resume the cycle. Then another long press turns it off. I used various improvised tethers. But I should note that the SmallRig 5399 kit comes with a braided stainless steel tether. The locked-off vehicle footage was mounted on the SmallRig AD50. As I said in the original review, the head on this is really very smooth considering it's a relatively budget tripod. Another item that's really worth mentioning because it's so useful, the Manfrotto to Arca Swiss converter, again from SmallRig. It allows me to just pop the camera in its stage, which has a built-in Arca Swiss dovetail, right onto the tripod head. I'm surprised there aren't more of these on the market, but as usual, SmallRig does a great job here. It's really well designed, adjustable for a wide variety of plates. Then there's a two-stage unlocking system comprised of a pressure lever to lock and unlock the clamp. Then, in order to dismount the camera, there's a safety button that has to be released before the clamp will release. Nicely done. Lighting. Now, I've talked about car rigs before and the use of small light. I wanted more versatility in terms of wattage for this shoot, so this Zhiyun 5-way M40 SE at 40 watts fits the bill. This is an excellent unit, lightweight at 250 grams, 17,100 LUTs, supports 2700 to 8500 K wide color temperature with CRI 95 and TLCI 97. Includes a hard shell diffuser, and there's an optional silicone diffuser for softer light. It features a self-developed electronic back pressure cooling system which maintains low temperature and stable performance even during prolonged high brightness operation. It has a dedicated knob for independent color temperature and brightness control. And for this use case, well, I never ran it down. A note here on IBIS, in body image stabilization. The Nikon cameras are decent, but without sophisticated car rigs, the IBIS in these cameras, as good as it is not really up to the job. Micro jitters spoil the footage. So, when it comes to shooting long takes, the trusty action cams actually do a better job, especially combined with this. I did a lot of testing over a period of weeks to figure out what works and what doesn't. Last but not least, when it comes to sound design, and I'll get to the soundtrack music in a minute, the philosophizing voiceover in the second part of the video was recorded straight into a Røde Wireless Pro transmitter using one of the included lav microphones, like this one here and this one here. That gave me 32-bit float to work with, not that there was a great deal of variation in the sound. I gave the voiceover its own timeline to make editing easier. I should add that I deliberately recorded that in the tab of the car. It gives the voice a natural sort of claustrophobic texture that you just can't perfectly replicate in the studio. Nothing much besides a touch of voice isolation and normalization of the whole audio before rendering. The sound effects, like the opening of the CD case and removing the disc, were recorded separately. And I had this brainwave, it happens occasionally, because the car CD player loads quietly. It occurred to me to use my old Apple SuperDrive to create a more interesting CD loading sound. Sometimes an expensive camera and audio recording setup needs an inexpensive piece of legacy tech to make the scene come to life. I recorded an engine noise background track, keeping it low enough not to distract. And I added some louder traffic sounds at the start. Those came from the Final Cut library. Same goes for the whoosh sound added to the first panning shot. Doppler effect, right? It's stereo. Trouble was, it passed in the wrong direction from right to left. No worries, I simply reversed the flip. It's convincing enough, I think. So the Foley and sound effects were straightforward, just a few additions here and there, and please let me know if they help draw you into the story. Our stories are, in themselves, incredible gifts to ourselves and others. I've written, and now committed to video, many stories from my life's movie, now entering its 75th year. And some have resonated with people enough to cause them to contact me because they've stumbled on stories on YouTube and my blog that include biographical details of people that mean something to them, grandfathers and fathers who've passed on lost friends. A good movie, to my mind, includes a cast of interesting characters and whose life doesn't. So, please, if you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to open up a conversation about remarkable people who've enriched your life. Oh, and before I forget, I hope you enjoyed the soundtrack. No business relationship, but the music came from Artlist. So, as I said, I hope this chapter in my YouTube life was as you like it, and please consider subscribing if you just stopped by for the first time. In the meantime, take care, cheers, we'll see you later.